Hello and welcome to a new Mendix community webinar. My name is Jan de Vries and I will be your host for today. Today's webinar will be about building a native mobile app and will be presented by Danny Roest. During the webinar, you can chat with everyone using the group chat window. If you have any questions for us, please join our Mendix community Slack channel and join the webinars channel to ask your questions. After the presentation, we'll go through the questions one by one and answer them as best as we can. As a note, the webinar will be recorded and will be shared afterwards. For now, thank you for joining and please enjoy the presentation. All right, take it away, Danny.
Welcome everyone. My name is Danny Roest and I'm the product manager for mobile. In this webinar, I will show you how you can build a rich mobile app with a couple of cool features like device functions, widgets, templates and styling. To do this, I prepared a mobile app which I will be extending in this webinar. So first of all, a short disclaimer. Some of the functionality which you will show today is not yet available out of the box, but will come soon. So for this webinar, we use a use case. A new cool mobile app called Reporty, which is a mobile app for citizens to report IDs and issues in the neighborhood. And for that, there's already a basic mobile app and I will extend it in this webinar with some nice new features. So first, let's take a look at the app, how it is now. Here you see the app and I create a new issue. So I can enter first the location of the issue. Click next, enter a short description. So in this case, crack in the sidewalk. So you see, nice wizard type of style. Click next again. Okay, can add some additional comments or notes. No, in this case, just see the pictures. Click next, and now I can add photos. So let's add a photo. Here you see a nice crack in the sidewalk. Let's add another photo. Here we go. Okay, and now we can finish, and we created a report, and you can see it here now in the overview. Okay, so that's a nice and easy to use app. However, if you are a new user and you get the first screen, you see a login screen. And that is not very welcoming. So let's first add some welcome screens towards it. So let's open the app again. And the first time a user opens the app, he only gets the login screen. And we want to add the welcome functionality there. So let's do that now. We release building blocks. So which are really easy to use this. So now we'll use the intro screen building block to add the intro screen functionality. So let's change the pages, add some welcome, add some more welcome text. Welcome to Reporty. Okay, let's continue to the next slide. Share. And tell the user that he can share his IDs or feedback. As you can see, really easy, you just enter the text and yeah, it will work. Okay, and the last slide, let's say start. And let's motivate the user to start the app. Have fun. Okay, and we save this and now let's see it in action. Save it, and then we can switch to the mobile app. And it's already there. Oh, here you go. Some nice welcome screen functionality. You can use the swiping or the buttons below. Okay, so now we have these nice new welcome screens, but let's also make sure that new users can sign up, because if they don't have credentials, they cannot use the app. Okay, now let's add some sign up functionality to the login page. So first, let's add a page, and we can use a standard page template for it for sign up. So it makes it easy to create this functionality. Here you see the page template. Let's make sure anonymous users can use it because you're not logged in yet. Okay, change the title. Sign up. Let's connect data. Nice and easily drag and drop using Nanoflow. We don't need the first field, so match the second and the first field of username and password. Okay, and now we can link it to the login page. So we can make this whole container clickable that it shows the sign up page. So let's select the sign up page. Okay, and let's let's see how it looks. And we run it. Okay, switch it up. Again, the nice welcome screens. And let's hit the sign up. And here we go. We have the sign up page. Okay, now let's add the logic to create an account and sign in. So for that, we will add a nano flow. So let's create the nano flow. Action, sign up. Here we go. Okay. For this webinar, I already prepared a microflow that creates an account, and we will call that now. So let's call a microflow. Yep, and select the create account microflow. Okay, looks good. Okay, so now that we create an account, we can also sign in. So using a standard nanoflow action, the sign in and pass the username and password. So really straightforward. Okay, and here you also see a nice combination of having server-side logic, so for creating the account, and client-side logic for signing in. Let's quickly see the microflow. As you can see, it's really straightforward. It just creates an account with a user role. Okay, we created the logic. Let's run it. Oh, let's also set the allowed roles. Make sure that not everybody can access it. Okay, let's run it again. And let's sign up. Okay, I will enter an email address. So we'll use my email address and create a new password. And then we can click the Join Us button. And voila, we've signed up and logged in. A mobile app is used to make things easier, to make life easier for the users. And users don't like to type things, especially not like an address. And here we can leverage native device functionalities. So let's do this and make this process easier. Now use some device actions to automatically pre-fill the location. Okay, what I can do here is we can get the current location of the device. So that's nice about having a native mobile app. You can access all these device features. We can leave these parameters default, so let's leave it empty. Okay, let's use high accuracy. And so it also uses like the Wi-Fi. And then we can reverse geocode this, as you see here, so that we can get the actual address. And we can pass the latitude and longitude. So let's do that. And the longitude. I already prepared the provider, location IQ, and I can use a client-side constant. Really easy to use now. Okay, we have the address, and now we can add this data to the report. So that's automatically pre-filled in. So it already has the longitude, it has the latitude, and also the address. So the latitude. As you can see, it's just passing objects. And the address. So the address will be automatically filled in. Okay, now let's run it. And as you can see, it's another instant update of the app. And now once I create a new button, automatically the address is pre-filled. So after committing the report or saving the report, there's a synchronize action. And how can we optimize this? Now, soon we will introduce a new feature called Sync to Device, which is a microflow activity which allows you to synchronize only the objects you want to synchronize to the device. And this is available soon, and I will now show you how that will work. First, a bit background. So there are two ways of synchronizing. One with the synchronize option, which synchronizes all the objects with the constraints, which is based on all the objects you use inside your pages and your logic. Next to that, we have the sync to device option, which only synchronizes the past objects. And I will now show you how we can apply this to the reporting app. So now let's improve the synchronization. So let's open the NanoFlow that's called after the report is finished. And here you see the sync option. So we'll first create the microflow to synchronize the report. And I want to synchronize the report and its photos. So I pass that as parameters. So let's add these parameters. So the report, that's report, and then also a list of the photos attached to the report. Okay, and now we can commit these on the server. So let's do that now. So commit the report. Yep, there we go. Oh, wrong activity. Let's commit the photo list, and then we can synchronize these objects back to the device so that the device also knows these are synchronized. And only these objects are synchronized. So this is a new feature that is coming soon. Okay, and also sync this. Okay, make sure it's also accessible. Okay, here we go. Now of course we need to call that microflow. So let's go back to the sync report and remove the synchronize option, and we need to pass the photo list, so also retrieve that. So get the photos, okay, and then we can call the microflow. Let's do that. Okay, drag and drop and set the options. So here you see it's relatively easy. It's like calling a microflow, and then it also makes sure that the objects are synchronized. Looking good. Oh, wrong key. Let's save it and let's run it. Okay, now switch back to the app and we can continue with the process. So enter a description, and let's keep it simple now. Test, and add a photo. Oh, here we go. And when hitting OK or the finish button, it will now get synchronized. Okay, so we have this home screen, and I want to have some more information there. So for example, what are the status of my report? It can have a different status, whether it's open or for example, whether it's cancelled or in progress. So I want to add more functionality that I can filter on the status. And I also want to add the feature to swipe an item to mark it as cancelled. So for example, if I see something and it's already fixed, I can cancel my report. So let's add some UI logic. Close the current pages. And so we want to add some logic to the home screen. I already prepared a report view entity, so a non-persistent entity. And we need to instantiate that, and then we can use that in the page. So here we have the NanoFlow. Okay, let's create the object. So the report view can be used to set the status basically. Oh, and let's by default set it on open, so that we will only see the reports with the status open by default. Okay, right click, love this feature. Okay, save it. So we now have the NanoFlow. Let's add a data view. Okay, and we can pass, just drag and drop. Also love this feature. Can move everything in here, and let's use a nice widget. So in this case I will use the toggle buttons, sometimes also called segmented controls. Attach that to the status attribute, and what's nice, if you do on change save, that it will automatically commit the report view entity. so that the refresh is triggered. Okay, let's run this. Oh, errors, what did I forget? Oh, I forgot the roles. Let's make sure to fix that. Here we go. Okay, no errors, so let's run it again. And here we see the buttons with the different statuses. Nice, right? And I can easily switch between status, but nothing happens yet. Okay, so first I want to have some spacing around it. So that's, here you can see design properties, really easy to do basic things with styling and layouting on your page. Okay, let's save this. Okay, we need to go to the data source. Okay, that currently retrieves all the reports, but now let's make sure it only shows the reports we actually selected. So we can now access the report view object and easily do the constraint on the status. And here we have the constraint. Okay. So this is a typical pattern you can use, so a non-persistent entity, add it on your page and use that for UI logic. And now let's see it in action. And here you can see a nice spacing, and we can now click the different items and it will work. Okay, so let's add swiping functionality so that I can basically cancel a report. Okay, and for that we have a nice new widget which we can place inside the list view. There's also a building block, but let's build it from scratch this time. So you can easily drag and drop this into the foreground. Okay, and I want to have a left to right archive, so basically swipe out and collapse. Let's select that. And on the swipe action I need to call a banana flow to mark it as cancelled. So let's add the banana flow. Okay. Okay, so here we see the both placeholders, but first add the logic to mark it as cancelled. So it's changing the object of the report and setting the status to cancelled. Status cancelled. Yep. Okay. Committed, of course. Save it. Okay, on the home page, and now we can add left background. Let's call it cancel. Wrap it in a container. Also a nice new feature. Let's style it a bit. So let's see. We need to make sure it's a maximum space. Want to have some spacing. That cancel is not on the left of the screen. Totally on the left on the screen. Let's have a color. Danger color. Okay. Let's see how it looks. So let's run this. Oh, error. Again, as you see, I always forget the user roles. Sorry for that. Okay, it's saved. Now, let's run it. Okay, we will now switch to the app. Here it is, it's loading. Wi-Fi is a bit waiting now. There we go. And okay, you see the swiping not entirely as we want it to look, so let's change it a bit, change the color of the text, make it white. And I want to align it in the center, so we can also use design properties for that. So there are different options there. And in this case I can use the justify content to place it in the center. Okay. Design properties basically add classes, but you don't need to know the classes. So that's nice. Okay, let's save it again. Here we go. Okay, so let's see if we can mark it as cancel. Nice, and this is cancelled. Let's check in the cancelled status, and there we go. Okay, so here we have the edit report page, which is a bit boring, I think. So let's personalize the styling of this app. So for example, let's change the blue color of the buttons, basically changing the primary color. And I don't like these border text fields, so also change that. And while we're at it, let's add some more functionality so I can get more information about the situation. Okay, so let's change the styling, personalize it a bit. You can quickly go to the styling by the show project folder, and you can go in the theme folder, style, and native. I like to use Visual Studio Code to open it. And by default there's always a custom variables file, which allows you to basically configure the styling project-wide. So let's change it, the primary color to orange. As you can see, it's not that difficult. You can easily do it. 3-finger to reload. And we have a orange primary color. Nice, right? Okay, now let's change the inputs. As you can see, a lot of configuration options. You don't need to know JavaScript. You can just change some values and easily reload by using a 3-finger tap or hitting the play button in the molar. So changing now the border width and border radius of the fields. And I want to have a light gray color for the fields. Okay. Now let's reload it again. Et voila. That's easy, right? Okay, so let's add some new functionality. I want to show some more details on the report, so we can access that from the report edit page. So let's add a button so they can basically see more details about the situation. So open page button, let's create a new page. And here we can use one of the new nice pages, at least I like it. So it's a map with images, so they can show a map of the location with also some of the photos. That's nice, right? So create it, use it page template. Also, let's change the button a bit so that it has a secondary style and there's some spacing, so it will still look good. Create a secondary style. And let's go to the page. So here you see, it looks like a very simple page template, but believe me, it looks nice. Okay, we need to, of course, pass the data view, or the reports are using a data view. So let's set that now. The report, yep, here we go. Nope. And then let's show the address. So we need to add the latitude and longitude. You could also use address, but this is faster and it doesn't have to do a lookup. So let's add the latitude. Oh, we need to make it a decimal, so let's parse it. Here we go. And we need to repeat this also for the longitude. Okay, make it longitude. So all the widgets are configured besides this, besides the data. So let's connect the data, but the maps is already configured. Okay, so let's use the nanoflow with it gets the photos for a report. Okay, don't fill it automatically. Let's connect the image. But basically, when you use a page template, you just connect the data and you're good to go. Okay, let's change the title of the page. So details, and also make sure we can access it. I did not forget it now. Okay, let's save it. And let's see how this looks. It's loading. Okay, let's open an already report. So here we have the report detail button. Look at that. Nice template, right? Okay, but it's nicer with more pictures, so I'll quickly add a new report with more pictures. So let's quickly do that. More fancy cars. I want to see more fancy cars in my neighborhood. So let's take some pictures. Okay. add another one. So for this we're using the standard take picture functionality. Okay, add another one. Okay, I can finish it. So then we created a report with multiple images, so that's nicer to see. So let's open it. Okay, and the detail. Look at that, that's nice, right? So you can scroll horizontally, you can zoom in on the maps. Yeah, I really like this template. Okay, so I want to edit some nice feature. What I want to do is also show a page or showing more details of the image. So I'm now adding a new page. Let's keep it as a blank page for now, just with the top bar. And yeah, blank. Okay, fairly simple. Okay, let's go to that page. Let's save it also. Okay, we need to add a data view, of course, and also an image. First do the data view, and it needs to be of a photo. Yeah, here we go. Let's fill it and remove what we don't need. Okay, we now have a very simple page basically. Let's clean it up and run it. I don't think this will look very nice. Oh, again, the user roles. Sorry for that. Okay, let's run. And save it. And see what happens now. So we can now open a photo in a new screen basically. Okay, but this is not really sexy, right? So what I want to do now is add a pluggable widget, so a custom widget I've built quickly. And it's called the image view, which allows you to view an image, and then you can also do zooming and pinching. So as you see, yeah, it's one property. I can easily configure it and edit. And now let's see how this will look. So it needs to do a full restart now because I added the widget, but normally it's an instant update, it's even more faster. But you see it's anyhow still pretty quick, I think. So let's wait a bit until it's fully started. And then we can start viewing the photo with the new image view widget. Okay, it's reloading. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the detail screen and open the image. Look at that, it's already full screen. Now I can zoom, swipe a bit. That's nice, right? But I don't like the header, so let's remove the header. So make sure it's a full screen because I want to see the photo as large as possible. But then I don't have a close button, so let's add also a close button. Here we go. Okay, let's see how this looks. It's reloading. Here you see, so full screen, but the close button is not that nice, so let's make that nice. I can still do the zooming, of course, but yeah. Okay, for that I will add some custom styling. You can do that in the custom.js, and I'll show you it's not that difficult to add styling. So first add a class to the button so that I can target it. Okay. So add the class name, close image button, and then I can add that to my styling, add some styling for it, and make it pretty. So this is the way how you define styling of an element. So you export it as a constant, and every widget has a container. So let's add that. Okay, I want to position it absolute. I'm going to position it absolute to the bottom. So, typo. Here we go. So bottom 0, left 0. So if you know a bit about CSS and styling, it's relatively straightforward. Also, I want to change the border color. So it's like a transparent button with a white color. So no background, so add that transparent. Okay, I added some styling. Good, so let's run it. Could also have done a 3-finger tap, by the way. Okay, here you see, still need some spacing, so let's quickly add that. So you can even combine custom classes and styling. Okay, added the spacing. Let's run again. And here we go. This looks nice, right? So it's now on top of the image. You can still really nicely zoom and still close the page. So what you saw, we used some new nice page templates to create new functionality, and we added the new image viewer widget, which was a pluggable widget developed by myself in this case. But with Mendix, you can easily extend the platform's widgets with your own widgets. And because we're using React Native, and there are a lot of React Native widgets out there in the community, you can easily use those. So how do you do that? So how I always like to start is start Googling React Native and basically the name of the type of functionality you want to build. So in this case, I Googled for React Native image viewer. Now, as you see, I immediately found a GitHub library with information about the component, and this looks like something I wanted to use. So then I used the widget generator to generate a new widget for my widget. Then also on the GitHub, there's quite some documentation that's almost always there, how to install the widget, so how to incorporate it inside your Mendix widget with all the parameters, etc. And in general, this is very easy to use. So then the next step is, okay, which parameters or properties should the widget have? This XML defines which properties your widget can use, and a lot of this is already generated by the generator. In this case, I want to specify the image which I want to see, so that I can zoom and pinch to zoom. And at last, we need to write the implementation. This is a screenshot of the code, and this is all there is to render this whole widget. Basically, it comes down to wrapping an existing React Native component. So if you know a little bit about JavaScript, building these types of widgets is quite easy and also fun to do. Okay, I will now show you one last feature, and that is about showing data from an external system. So what did you see? I showed you how easily you can use widgets and building blocks. We added sign-up functionality using a microflow. We used navigation concepts. We used native device actions for a better user experience to pre-fill the address. I've shown you the upcoming synchronization features. I've shown you how you can build mobile pages and mobile patterns. I've shown how easy it is to style your mobile app, and also showing you the power of pluggable widgets. And the last thing I want to show you is this is fetched from a REST service, and let's add that now. So here we have the news items, which is exposed as a REST service, and I will thank you all for listening to this webinar. And now we can easily refresh this, and here you see.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Danny. Let's open the floor for questions. All right, and we already have a couple of questions coming in through the Slack channel. So one of the first questions is by Rick Pistorius. Is calling the server-side logic, the microflow, released yet? The last time I tried it, it would not let me call it.
Yeah, good question. Like mentioned early in the presentation, so some functionality is not publicly available yet. So calling a microflow is not yet publicly available. However, it's available behind the feature flag. There are still some limitations, but let me know if you want to use it, so that I can give you some instructions on how to enable this and how to use it.
And how could they reach you?
Via Slack is fine.
Okay.
So I'm also on the community Slack. So I will give a short ping there later, and then everybody can directly send a message to me.
Great, sounds good. So someone else, Simon says, do we see the layout grid widget in 8.5 on native mobile pages?
Yes, good news. So native layout grid will be part of the 8.5 release, and is also available for native mobile, also for web, by the way. The nice thing about it is that it's a bit more flexible than the existing layout grid. So for example, you're not limited to 12 column grid, but you can also specify that a column should take the maximum width or fit the width content. And also it has some nice placement options.
Right, thank you. So another question is, how can we implement the SSO for native mobile app instead of using the normal login for Mendix?
Currently, we do not have this out of the box yet. At Mendix, we're working on a generic Mendix single sign-on approach via the Mendix SSO module. This is already released, but it is not an out of the box integration with native mobile yet. We're currently working on this. And this is planned for early next year. And in general, this approach we see as the platform solution for single sign-on and as the way forward. If you want to integrate it, for example, with the existing SAML module, that is possible, but for that you need to create a pluggable widget that opens a web view. And yeah, it's roughly the same as the current hybrid approach then.
Yeah, so Rick Zwaal is saying, I'm just wondering, when I was exploring the native app functionality, is it correct that a slidable sidebar, is that still available, or is it gone?
That's a good question, Rick. Currently, it's not available yet. I have to check whether it will be in 8.5 or 8.6. I have to check that. Also behind the feature flag. And then you do have a sidebar as a menu. We didn't have it by default out of the box because it's not considered the best pattern. If it's possible to do it via bottom tabs, then that's the approach. But we're adding it. So feel free to contact me, and then I will explain a bit more about it and give you access once it's there.
So let's go to the next question by Niels. Can you share the pluggable widget that you created?
Yeah, no problem. You can contact me. It's not a supported one, but it's a good one to check how you can build it, and it's only a few lines of code.
All right, just a simple one for the demo.
Yeah.
So how is the support for adding React Native components that require linking?
Good question. That is possible. However, for that you will need to build your app yourself using the native builder, because the Make It Native app does not have these native components. So you need to be able to build your own app. Next week we will release on how to add such a functionality. In this case, we'll show you how to add NFC functionality. And we're also working on making it easy to build your own developer app, so that once you integrated the module, you can also share the developer app with other team members. And that developer app is basically a simple version of the Make It Native app.
Right. So another question is, can we have an on-start of microflow?
Good question. Not yet. It's something on the backlog we want to have. I think it will be there in the first quarter of next year.
Good news. So what happens when attempting to sync to a device without connectivity?
A very good question, Reinhard. That's something I forgot to mention. So in general, when you do a sync activity or call a microflow, it's important to make sure you do exception handling. So for example, if there's not a connection, and then it will go through the exception exit. Next to it, beforehand, you can also check what's the connection, and based on some logic do that. But in general, it throws an exception if there's no connection, like a timeout exception. And then, you can catch it as with normal exceptions.
So Jonathan is asking, would you rearrange the order of the nanoflows so that you show the next page first and then start the synchronization so that it runs in the background without delaying the next page from showing?
That's indeed a very nice pattern, Jonathan. That is also something that's possible. So for example, what I could think of is you open the page, show perhaps what's cached there, and then, for example, with the app events widget, you trigger a nanoflow that's triggered on load of the page. That will fetch the data, and once it's fetched, it will automatically update the UI. And then, for example, you can show a loading spinner while it's still loading, and show something else once the data is loaded.
Are there any plans to have nanoflows as an option for navigation menu?
It is something we discussed, and I don't know the exact status of it yet because there were some technical limitations there. We will be adding some more control on navigation options. So currently we do not see the need that much for having a NanoFlow as option for the navigation because basically you can do the same with a NanoFlow data source. Yeah, it's on our backlog, so if you have a good use case, let me know so that we can think about it, whether we should incorporate it. So yeah, let me know if you have more information.
Cool. So Thijs is asking, is there a React Native for Mendix course available, or is that being developed?
I don't know exactly what you mean with that. So we have a basic academy training. Next year we plan to release a more advanced web training, which is a bit based on this webinar, but with some more details and some more theory. There are some how-tos on building widgets, so really using React Native, for example, to build some UI components. We're also looking there for early next year to release some micro courses where you basically see a developer building a pluggable widget.
And I believe there already is some mobile stuff in the academy, right?
Yeah, there is a basic course.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there a way to change attributes on elements like an input field? For example, for login, I don't want to auto-capitalize the username field.
Good question, Hunter. Not out of the box, as far as I know. So we have the different type of fields, but it doesn't include like do not capitalize it. But it could be indeed a nice feature. So let's connect on that.
Will the app work the same in online and offline mode?
Roman, that's a good question. So with Mendix Native Mobile, we chose for an offline first architecture, what basically means the app, the logic and the pages connect to a local database, so do not require a connection to run. So in that sense, offline, whether there's a connection or not, it will behave the same. However, of course, if you want to synchronize, you do need a connection. But in general, the app should work the same regardless whether there's a connection or no connection. And of course, you can do a bit more if you are in online mode, but the app should work mostly even if there's no connection or a poor connection.
So how do we build an app to deploy mobile from Docker image with external database?
I'm not sure I understand that question. So I think that's more about deploying the runtime than the mobile app. So when you build a mobile app, one you need to deploy, for example, to the App Store or to the MDM, and one side is deploying the runtime. I think for that it's better to check out the documentation or contact expert services or support for that. It's also not my area of expertise.
So Michelle is asking, do we have a logout function available for native mobile navigation?
There's a standard NanoFlow activity, part of the native mobile resources package that has sign out functionality, so yes.
Excellent. And Thijs is just confirming that yes about the training courses. That's what he was looking for. And Raj is asking a follow-up question, is there an option for us to access the reportee sample code that you created?
Yeah, so after Mendix 8.5 is out, I can make it available. It will require a feature flag, but if there's a need, contact me, then I can clean up the project and make sure it's available and that I can share it with you.
Excellent. There's another question here. Currently you show the demo using Make It Native. What if we want to check it on an actual mobile phone?
Yeah, for that you need to do the build step. So with the native builder, so that's part of, would refer you there to the documentation that shows you how to build your app and then can install it on your device or publish it to the App Store. This is also something I do want to mention here also. It's now command line based. That's not the way it will always be. We're also working on integrating that within Studio Pro, that you just have screens to be able to publish it.
So Kofi is asking, for a native app, can we use custom fonts, or do we have to rely on device-specific fonts?
So by default, native mobile apps have a default set of fonts which you can use. If you want to upload or use other fonts, for that currently you need to build your app yourself and include the font in that. There's also something we want to make easier. So as part of the app building, you can say, okay, I want to also include this font. That works a bit different than with web. So it is possible, but for that you need to build your app yourself using the native builder.
Right. So any considerations for testing React Native apps?
Yeah, this is still something we do not have out of the box. So we're working with Mendix on ATS to see whether we can support native apps there. Also, there's standard tooling that you can use to test React Native apps, but how to go forward with Mendix, like an out-of-the-box solution, yeah, we do not know yet. That's something we're investigating.
Right, right. So Benny's asking an interesting question. Is it possible to read an NFC tag UUID? So that's another device feature, right? Device functionality that you call, basically.
Yeah, so next week we will release an how-to document on how to integrate NFC functionality, and that you can also basically shows you how to build it from scratch. So how can you integrate a native module, and then how you can use NFC to do things like this. So yeah, wait for the new documentation, I would say.
Good, great things to look forward to. Oh, Stefan's saying he missed a question, whether we can share the pluggable widget.
Yep, give me a message and I will share it with you.
Yeah, so just message us on Slack or message Danny on Slack, and then we can get it to you. So in the docs, it mentions deploying to Mendix Cloud and then using the native builder. But if we don't use Mendix Cloud, for example, we're using Azure Cloud, how do I build?
Good question. So when building the mobile app, you always need to specify the runtime endpoint. And it could be in the Mendix Cloud, the Azure Cloud, or on-premise. It's just about specifying the right URL. So the building is the same, but you just point to a different runtime.
Right. Okay. Thank you all very much for your time, for your attention, for your questions. I hope we've been able to answer all of your questions satisfactorily. Let us know what you think by filling out the survey so that we can keep doing these great webinars. Let us know what topics you'd like to learn more about in potentially future webinars. And yeah, hopefully see you guys next time. Thanks, Danny, and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you all.